Whatever you're going through, whatever you're facing, we'll support you through it, and we're here to help.
Hello and welcome. My name is Marley and I'm an outreach coordinator at the Sparrow Center. Today I'm here to chat with you about grief and the many different types of grief people can potentially experience. It's very common for people to associate the word grief with the idea of a loved one passing away. But this is not the only type of grief. There are many different reasons people grieve, and there are many different types. It's also super important to know that everybody grieves in a unique way. In light of recent events, nationwide and worldwide, millions if not billions of people are grieving. Teenagers specifically are facing loss in many different ways, and a lot of the times that can be overlooked. There's a good chance that maybe you are experiencing some great losses, and it's natural to grieve those losses. You may feel that you've missed out on some once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, maybe like attending your first year of high school or your last, or going to prom and other parties, or playing in and watching sporting events at school, or maybe even celebrating like a really big birthday. Also, you might be feeling that you're losing out on some everyday events, like simply having lunch with your best friends, or hopping into your favorite teacher's classroom to say hi, or even going to the park to hang out with friends after school. Some of these are rites of passage and some of them are everyday things, but missing these events could cause you to experience grief. It's crucial for us to make space for grief so that we can find good ways to cope with it and maintain a healthy way of living, thinking, and feeling. So let's talk about the different types of grief. Today, we're going to cover 7 different types. The first one is normal grief. And contrary to its name, there's no set of guidelines around what grief looks like. But instead, normal grief is when a person experiences a loss, they acknowledge that they are grieving that loss, and they start on a path to accepting it. This looks different for everyone. But the key to normal grief is that the person is taking steps to accept the loss. Emotions will be intense at the beginning, and they'll lessen as time goes on, by acceptance growing. The second type is collective grief. This is grief that is felt by a collective group of people. It could be a community grieving together, or a city, a country, or even the world. So the losses that we have all experienced from COVID-19 is an example of this collective grief. The third type of grief is ambiguous grief. This is when someone experiences a loss, but the other people around them don't acknowledge the importance of that loss. Then it can feel like the significance of losing that is minimized. And this can cause a person to feel like they're not able to openly mourn that loss because it's not important to others. This type of grief can really delay the grieving process, and it can lead to physical and mental symptoms like being tired all day long or feeling super sad constantly. The fourth type of grief is cumulative grief. Now, this is when somebody experiences a lot of losses all in a short period of time, all at once. This type of grief can feel super stressful because a person doesn't have time to properly cope with one loss before another one happens. It's a lot like having a lot of bad days right in a row. It's almost like a domino effect. The fifth type of grief is masked or distorted grief. This happens when a person doesn't recognize that they are grieving, or when a person can't recognize a loss is affecting them. People dealing with masked or distorted grief sometimes experience physical symptoms like not being able to sleep, or they show out of character behaviors like making poor choices, or showing a lot of anger towards a particular person. The sixth type of grief is traumatic or absent grief. This happens when somebody experiences a loss but also has trauma in their life at the same time. During traumatic grief, a person might deny that they are experiencing a loss, and that might last for a long time. This could happen because the person doesn't have the mental or physical ability at that time to address the loss. This could be because somebody's experiencing some toxic relationships or some big life experiences. And there's a lot of other social issues that tie into that as well. The 7th type of grief is exaggerated grief. And it's an intensified version of normal grief. But unlike normal grief, where emotions fade over time from acceptance, exaggerated grief can worsen over time. This can lead to self-destructive behaviors, nightmares, depression, over or under eating, not sleeping well, and many other physical or mental symptoms. Now that we know the different types of grief, I want to mention one major important thing. It's the necessity around talking about your grief. This will help in acknowledging and validating your feelings, and it'll help you to cope with the losses that you have experienced. Remember, you're not alone. Everybody grieves, and in different ways. If you're experiencing any of these types of grief, don't hesitate to reach out for help. You can go chat with a trusted family member or a friend, or maybe some formal supports, like seeing a therapist or a mental health counselor. There's also a lot of free online supports that you can utilize as well. Please check out the rest of our Spiro YouTube page if you want some more videos on what grief looks like and strategies around how to cope with grief and loss. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you're not alone. See you next time.
Spiro Center is a therapeutic learning program of Educational Service District 112. For more information, visit spiro.esd112.org. If you or someone you know needs help, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or through an online chat available 24/7.